Okay, the Acolytes, episode 8. This is a tough one because, I've been back and forth on the series a couple of times, and this episode really hammered home my idea that this should have been a movie. There was hours of the series that could have been chopped out. Uh, I thought 8, the finale, was one of the most cohesive, enjoyable episodes of the entire series, and I was a little disappointed to discover that it was directed by the same woman that directed the only other episode that I liked, which was the Teach Corrupt episode. Um, and I just feel like it's such a missed opportunity that they couldn't have had a more cohesive vision for what the show is and the story it's trying to tell, um because they made the choice to have an overarching story throughout the episodes, but it came off so disjointed and strange, to have so many different writers and directors a hold of the same story. And I would have really enjoyed, having the writers and directors that worked on, um, in my opinion, the 3 good episodes of the 8 episode, series season. I I don't know if they're gonna get a season 2. I feel differently having seen the finale than I felt, leading up to it, but yeah, um gonna get into some spoilers for the episode, but I just that's kind of my overall feeling of the series now that like the season is over. I may like revisit it and talk more broadly about the series as a whole. It's gonna be difficult not to with this being the finale, but I'm gonna try to keep most of what I'm saying to the episode from this point on. So I feel like as far as um a season finale, uh this this did everything I needed it to do. It it wrapped up a lot of the story. It it had pretty good pacing. It had a lot of really nice visualization and a lot of like um subtle environmental storytelling and more, it really felt a lot more like a show, a movie, a spectacle, than more some of the previous episodes where it felt like you're watching like um, I don't know, like a documentary or like a TV interview on a movie screen. It just felt like the scope was all out of whack, and this felt a lot more cinematic to me, without it being over the top. I mean, there was a couple of fight sequences. Um, there was um, there was a lightsabers during the day sequence, where I could appreciate, uh, that they tried to actually have a physical representation of the lightsabers while filming. That would be a really good choice, but unfortunately, it just didn't look as good as it does when they've filmed them at night, and that's a little bit of a disappointment, but, it's better than artificially, having the day go by so that they can, like, have a lightsaber fight at night. I appreciated that, for once, time, space travel, and everything seemed to make sense. That, like, this is just a day a thing happened, and the characters, arrived in a way that made sense. Like, it would make sense with the events leading up to it that everybody would converge and be there in the same place in the same time. Where, as sometimes the characters seem to arrive by pure happenstance or plot, to some of the locations. So it makes sense that, like, uh, that the Brindock mission was the genesis of the story. It was a good place to wrap it up. It was, I, I still don't care about most of the characters, honestly, but it was good that the twins were able to have some like emotional closure, both in their burned down home. They go up to the room where May originally locked Osha in to fight it out, like to work through their feelings, and then later on, once Osha's had more time to catch up and process the events, they meet back up in their this tree that they visited a lot as children to have more emotional closure when they decide to go their separate ways. And I thought that that's really good storytelling. It was really nice to see that. Um, there's one scene where the twins are fighting and they kind of they were using really similar moves, which it was kind of revealed that they aren't actually twins or sisters. They're one person split into two entities, and from it's still not fully explained, but that they use the force convergence to create them to begin with and then split them apart. Um, I'm not quite sure like how that is explained, but they finally like went out and said it. Like it still, it still feels like I don't know. I've given Amanda Law some criticism for her inability to have two distinct characters. And I figured the plot would kind of explain it away that like it's the same person going through the story from two different perspectives, like even though like she's supposed to physically be two people. That really could have been interesting. I just wish, and I don't mean any offense to her, like, but I wonder how well the story could have been executed in the hands of a more seasoned actor. Even though it's supposed to be a younger character, just somebody that has more experience playing multiple roles because anytime she was on screen. Like, I could only tell by costuming which character she was meant to be portraying, or if one of the characters called her out by name. Uh, you could you could remove any audio or visual cues and not know who she was playing at any given moment. And then, the plot has them sort of switch where May has gone through a like she's going through the steps of a redemption arc. She's gone to the light side after, like, spending 16 years being trained in the dark side of the Force. And and then Osha. Um, okay, I'm saying this all out of order. The show starts out with Osha in the Sith mask that belonged to well, Chimera was using. I don't even know if it belonged to him because they they're just having all sorts of expanded universe guest stars on the show. Um, so there was speculation with the unknown island that Kamir brought Osha to that it might be an island that belonged to Darth Plagueis, um, and where he was trained by yeah, but so so they have him show up on screen for the first time, and he's just being a cave creeper. He's just like watching. And this is supposed to be the you know the backstory for like the eventually the eventuality of Anakin being created from the Force, right? Um it's it's kind of unceremonious the way that they introduced him and for him to later play such a major role. But I did appreciate because it was subtle. He wasn't given a lot of screen time. I do appreciate that there was a music cue that referenced so it was good to have that like it it I don't know. I guess a lot of these moments, when it's the first peak of a character without them, like, really being a big part of the show, do just feel like fan service, like, little lore nods, and they don't feel like an organic an organic introduction of characters, or for them to make any sense to be there. Um, you know, again, I'm going totally out of order, but the show ends with with Venestria coming in to talk to Yoda, and hey, if they do have a season 2, at least it's gonna be puppet Yoda instead of CGI Yoda, and, I I'm a sucker for, like, practical effects. It's nice to see that budget actually going somewhere, you know? Like, but I will see what comes of that. It's, I this episode was called "The Acolyte," right? Which is, kind of the unofficial moment that Osha becomes, Khmer's acolyte, because like in Jedi it's a Padawan, and with Sith it's an acolyte. And the implication at the very end is, well, no, actually she just straight out says it. Um, she offers to be trained as a acolyte, uh, in exchange for him allowing her sister to live. And if you know anything about Sith, is that they don't keep around Sith that have outlived their purpose, very much, because they don't want to leave somebody that's going to come back and destroy them at some point. So it was a really big deal for him to let his former acolyte go, but it was weird. Um, So they're supposed to be Sith, right? And the idea is Osha's fallen to the dark side. May has spent years on the dark side. Khmer has spent years in the dark side. Like the implications is he was trained by Darth Plagueis, right? And that, like, I mean, even before that, like, that his Jedi master was Venestria. Like, I mean, he's like, for him just being some random dude, like he's a had some, like, really good pedigree for training, like, in his lifetime. Um, but the idea that he was like, "Oh, I'm going to mind wipe you to protect, your sister," right? It's like, yeah, that I'm sorry. That part felt weird to me. It felt like, that's what the the plot called for, and that, like, the tone was totally off, because there was there's a point earlier, where May, or Osha, just does not want to hear out Soul's explanation for, like, his choices in his life, right? For her benefit. But we're supposed to believe somebody that she's only tentatively even around, that he's doing anything in her best interest and has, like, pure intentions. And I don't know. I suppose they were kind of rushed, because they had to make a choice, like, in kind of like the heat of the moment. But it just, um, yeah, the dialogue in that conversation just didn't really sit well with me. Like, I didn't mind the plot, the story, what they were trying to accomplish. It just felt like it was done in a disingenuous way. Like, it didn't make any sense. Um, the my understanding, with what they've built up with in this episode, is that in season 2 they're going to explore the hypocrisy of the Jedi, and how Jedi act really, like, righteous, and how the whole idea of the Jedi code, right, goes against humanity. It goes against nature, and that creates a system where people um, go around enforcing the rules for other people, but constantly bend them for their own benefit if they so see fit. And the the greatest tragedies that have ever been done were at the hands of people that believed they were doing the right thing, right? There's nothing more powerful than convincing somebody that what they're doing is the right thing, especially if you want to use them as an implement to do terrible things. And, there is sometimes where, good people do bad things for the greater good. And it would be very interesting to have these ideas explored, but I don't trust a lot of the people that have worked on the series thus far to handle that well. Like it's not that I wouldn't be interested in seeing it, it's that I don't want to see it from them. Like I just I like a lot of the plot underpinnings. I like the direction where the show could go, but I just really wish instead of 8 bloated episodes, that it had been a mini series or just a movie that, it's like, "Here, um, I'm gonna introduce a preponderance." Like, um, are Jedi inherently flawed in how they try to, like, live as monks, whereas, time and time again, the Sith are, you know, they're obviously evil, they harness, like, the negative emotions, but it is it is an interesting idea that, the Sith are powerful because they embrace, anger, fear, doubt, like negativity, but there's not a side that embraces positive attributes, right? Like Jedis don't use their uh, they have a sense of duty, but they don't have a sense of purpose. They don't use love, friendship, loyalty. They don't use any positive emotions to enhance their power. They are afraid to feel emotions. They're repressed, and nearly every story about one of them is that that can go on until the point of weakness, until the point where you are tested in a very personal way. Like, and I thought it was interesting that they had the senator come in and just lay it out, saying, that most Jedi are a ticking emotional time bomb, and it's not it's not when, it's if one of them gives up, gives in to their own feelings, their own repressed um, senses, that they immediately fall to the dark side because instead of um, learning to control, temper, and use their emotions, they are taught to just simply repress and deny them. And that could be such an interesting story. It, you know, I've seen I've seen the very idea of Jedi and the implications of them explored in expanded universe, and you just don't see that sort of reflection of just humanity through the larger than life cinematic way. You don't see a lot of that, and it would be really interesting too. There's a you know there's some Star Wars shows that don't they're not as much in the well, I mean, it's Star Wars, people are familiar with all of them, but, some of the ones that, don't have the popularity, um, are more willing to discuss, like, heavier or more, complex topics. But, it would have been really nice to see that in, like, a main feature, Star Wars show, but this wasn't it. Um, and, I I hope, honestly, I hope that if the series continues, that they will take what they've started with the story and handle it in a better way. Um, there's it's so disjointed that they've actually like brought on some independent filmmakers um and and writers and stuff, and I don't know what's happened. Like, I don't understand how they could give people with an actual like vision, right? Some like artistic merits. They gave them like such a large stage, um, but there's things that just shouldn't have been in there. There's issues that they should have like worked out that kind of ruined it, and now I fear that um that the backlash from those problems, like the choices that the I feel like that's going to take away from like what the show did right. What the lost potential, and that's the real shame. Like I feel like um I don't know. I feel like this could have been a really good show in better hands. And I don't mean necessarily like the writers or directors. I mean like at a higher level. Like there's there was a lack of oversight. There was a lack of I don't know. I wish there'd been more continuity. I wish there had been like especially with like pacing and storytelling and character consistency and um I don't know. I just feel like the whole thing was bloated. Like, the scope, the budget, the length. And I think that it could have been something really special, and that's disappointing. And I hope if there is another season that they can, instead of react um negatively to a lot of well-earned criticism, that they can take that to heart and do better, and everybody can be happy. Like, I don't know. That's my hope for the series. Um, there's some more like smaller moments of the show that I had intended to talk about, but I just I don't know. Um, I have such mixed feelings about it now because I expected to go into this episode with it being another um drawn out, confusing mess of like a lack of understanding of motivation and everything. But no, this was very clear cut, well executed, and like minute to minute, like the most entertaining that the show has been. So it in itself is a good episode, and that just has me thinking, why was this not a movie or a miniseries? Like, so I can't objectively talk about this one episode very well on its own, because it it just kind of affects how I feel about the whole series. I don't know. This is this was kind of like my first thoughts after watching it, and like I'm sure that especially when I discuss like other Star Wars shows, and now with the implications of things that happened on this show, what that can mean for past and future projects. I'm sure I'm going to discuss it again, but I'm going to wrap this up for now. Take care.